Hi everybody. Today in this video I'm going to be showing you how to make this cute little pumpkin, perfect for fall, Halloween, and you can do these in all different colors. They're super easy to make. These little ones especially are pretty fast to make up. I've actually made a bunch of these a couple years in a row and taken them to my daughter's school. So her class, they each get a little pumpkin around Halloween just for fun. So you can use any color you want, any shade of orange, white, green, yellow, typical colors for gourds. You can also choose to do colors that match your decor in your house. If you're gonna display them, say on the fireplace or on the dining room table. I've done some in cream, gray, that like grayish smoky blue turns out really nice. If you want to do them in your favorite sports team colors, that's an idea as well. So to get started, we are going to just make this little guy, and you can grow this pattern to make as big of pumpkins as you would like. It's fairly simple once you kind of get the idea, and you'll be making tons of these little things in no time. So I've got my scissors in case you need a stitch marker. You've got that handy, yarn needle. To start with, we're going to make a magic circle with 6 single crochets. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. We'll pull that tight. And then our next row is a increase all the way around, so you'll end up with 12 stitches when you're finished. So see, 1 and 2, 3 and 4, 5 and 6, 7 and 8, 9 and 10, 11 and 12. All right, in our next row, we'll do an increase and then 1 single crochet. I'll do all the way around, so we end up with 18. So 1 and 2, 3, 4 and 5, 6, 7 and 8, 9, 10 and 11, 12, 13, 14, or 15, 16 and 17, and there's our 18. I'm gonna pull this a little tighter again. So we want that to be nice and closed up. All right, our next row is going to be increasing out to 24. So we'll have an increase and then 2 single crochets all the way around. So here's 1 and 2, 3, 4 and 5. Oops. 4 is by itself. So even sometimes I get mixed up on my counting and where I am. So it's 4 and 5 and 6 will be together. 7, 8, 9 and 10 together. 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17 and 18 together. 19, 20, 21 and 22 together, and 23, 24. All right, so our next row is going to be increasing out to 30. So we'll have 3 single crochets and then an increase. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, and 15 together, 16, 17, 18, 19, and 20 together, 21, 22, 23, 24, and 25 together, 26, 27, 28, 29, and 30 together. Okay, so this is the bottom of our pumpkin. You can keep going and continue adding rows, but for the size that I'm going to be making, this is where I'm going to stop. Okay, so I'm going to add probably 3 rows of single crochet. You can adjust it if you want your pumpkin to be a little taller or shorter. Just keep in mind that once you start adding these, we'll say long stitches to create the creases, it will flatten out quite a bit. Okay, so make sure you keep that in mind when you are deciding when to stop your single crochet rows. So I'm going to do 3 and then see how we're doing. So 1, 2, and I'm actually going to use a stitch marker so that I don't have to count 30 3 times. With my 2 tiny tornado toddlers, any kind of decoration that I can create out of crochet is a stress off my plate, because if they snatch these and run off to play with them, I don't have to worry about them getting hurt with it. I don't have to worry about them hurting it. If you had one of the grandmothers like I did growing up, they had very fancy, very expensive decorations in their house. All those little porcelain figurines, and they were not to be played with. But these kinds of things that I make for our house are 100% safe for anybody to run and play with. I also make lots of toys, stuffed animals and dolls, things like that, that are very much intended to be played with. If you're curious enough to go and take a look, my website is themarshflower.com. I don't have all of my currently finished projects listed quite yet. I've been a little busy of late. So I sell quite a bit of the things that I make off my website. I sell things through my Facebook page, just word of mouth from other people that have purchased things from me or had me make custom items for them. And I've done a couple of the art and craft fairs. Oh, 2 Tiny Tornadoes. Those can be a little hard on whoever is keeping an eye on them. So 1, 2, 3. I think I'm going to do one more row. Make this pumpkin a little bit taller. And also, locally, I have a store that sells my items out of their storefront in downtown Savannah. So that's nice. I can take things down there and drop them off. And at the end of the month, they send me a check for everything that's sold. I hope you guys have something similar near you, if that's something you would like to do or try. And sometimes all you have to do is ask. I found a couple other stores locally that when I told them what I did and asked them if they were interested, they jumped at the chance and just bought some of my items outright. And then I didn't even have to wait for them to sell. They just worried about that later. So that's also nice. And it can be any kind of store, as long as you have your EIN number or business license, which are not hard to get, especially for artists and crafters. And just ask. You never know. Okay, so at this point, I am going to start decreasing back down. So we went all the way out to 30. So I'm going to do 3 and decrease down to 24. So 1, 2, 3, and 4, 5, 6, 7, and my decrease is 8, 9, 10, 11, and my decrease is 12, 13, 14, 15, and my decrease is 16, 17, 18, 19, and my decrease is 20, and 21, 22, 23, and my decrease is 24. So I'll start curving back in. Next we'll do 2 single crochets and a decrease to get us down to 18. So 1, 2, and 3, 4, 5, our decrease is 6, 7, 8, our decrease is 9, 10, 11, decrease is 12, 13, 14, our decrease is 15, and 16, 17, and our decrease is 18. Okay, now we're going to do a decrease row down to 12. So we'll have 1 and a decrease. So all of your even stitches are going to be decrease stitches. So 1, decrease 2, 3, decrease 4, 5, decrease 6, 7, decrease 8, 9, decrease 10, 11, and decrease 12. All right, I'm going to take my little stitch marker out because I don't need it. I am going to put some stuffing down in my little pumpkin here. I like to stuff these pretty full so that once you start putting those little side stitches on to make the grooves or indentions, you don't end up completely flattening out your pumpkin if there's a nice firm amount of stuffing inside. And you can kind of check it. I'm going to put a little bit more. Okay. So I'm going to go do 5 decreases in a row, and then I'll show you how I add the stem. There's a couple different ways you can do it. This way just is a little easier for me, and it saves a little bit of time for me. For others, other ways might be faster. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Okay. So at this point, what I'm going to do is I'm going to get some brown or tan or green, whatever color you want your stem for your pumpkin to be. I'm going to go with this kind of tan color. And I'm going to stick my hook through that next stitch, pull some through, make a little slip stitch with it. I'm going to pull off a pretty decent amount of orange yarn because I want to make sure that I have plenty to use for sewing on these little grooves. Okay, I'm going to take my tan, the starting tail, and I'm going to tie a knot to the orange where I just finished that last stitch. Okay, so we're going to keep this orange out, we're going to keep the tan tail out, and we're going to use those in just a little bit. So the orange tail and the beginning tail of the tan, I'm actually going to pull over to this side, and I'm going to use my hairpin just to kind of hold them down in place over here. And I do that because I'm going to crochet over top of them so that they stay kind of coming out this little hole right here. Okay, so I'm going to do a couple single crochets. So that's 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, and then I'm going to go under or over top of those other strings and go right into where that slip stitch was where I added the tan. And I'm going to do a decrease. Because pumpkin stems tend to get smaller the farther away from the pumpkin you go. So I'm going to add a couple of stitches, and then I'll do a decrease, and then I'll do a couple more stitches and another decrease. And this is all, you know, personal preference. If you would like a taller stem or a shorter stem, you can even do some of the really long stems that kind of come out and curly Q down. All right, I'm gonna leave this one a little shorter today. So I'm gonna cut off my tan. Just pull that through. I'm gonna take my yarn needle and thread this end right here where I've just cut it off. And I'm gonna go down through my stem and out this hole where my little yarn tails are. So I'm gonna get my tan tail under here. And I'm just gonna tie these two together in a square knot. It helps keep everything from coming undone, especially with toddlers playing with them. Put my yarns, my tans back through here. I'm just going to tuck those tails down through my pumpkin, and then we'll trim off the extra. Oop. All gone. Okay. So now I'm going to take this super long piece of orange that I pulled out, thread it through my yarn needle, and I'm going to decide where I want my first little crease to be. And again, completely personal preference how many creases you do. I recommend at least 5. If you don't do at least 5, it can tend to look a little odd. You can always leave them just like this, though I would kind of sew a thread down through the bottom and back up to pull the little stem kind of down into the pumpkin instead of just leaving it perfectly round up top. This one, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So this one has 7 little creases. I think that looks pretty cute. So I'm probably gonna try to do 7 on this one as well. So right here where the string comes out, I'm gonna pull it around to the bottom. And I'm not going through this center magic circle. I'm gonna go in that stitch that's right outside that. And I'm gonna go back up through the middle and come out right up here next to the stem. And pull all this through. And as you're going to want to pull that as tight as you want it to be, because it will loosen up as you go. And it's kind of hard to go back and tighten every single one of them all the way around. So it's important to kind of keep that as tight as you can as you're working. So right beside that middle part of the bottom, and back up right beside the stem. Oop. My yarn decided to tangle on me under there. Okay. Again, make sure it's nice and tight, and you see how that did a nice little bubble right there in between those 2 creases that I made. So I'm gonna come over a little bit and add the next one. So go right up through here. Come right through here. Okay, I'll come over and make another one. And if you're doing larger pumpkins, you may have more of the little creases all the way around. Or you can always do less. And they don't have to be perfectly spaced. A lot of things in nature are not absolutely perfect, and they are still beautiful. Here's the last one. And I'm going to make sure that when I come up, I'm coming up right next to that yarn tail that I left hanging out. I have a lot of extra yarn. Got a little too much. Okay, so here's my little pumpkin. I'm going to tie these two pieces together in a little square knot. Get nice and tight. And then I'm going to trim a little bit of this off so I don't have to weave that whole thing back through there. And I can use that later for something else. I may use it as part of the decoration on one of my witch hats. So we'll stick that right down through there, poke it out the side, and there's our little finished pumpkin. So we'll trim this off, we'll stick that back in, and it's all done. So that's our little pumpkin pattern. I hope you guys have fun making lots of these little guys. If there's anything that I can make a video of, show you how to make, I'd be happy to. Send me a message or post it in the comments. If there's something you guys think that I can do differently to make these videos easier to follow, I'd be welcoming the requests as well. Okay, so thanks for crocheting with me today, and I'll see you next time. Bye.